I married my brother's ex. 10 years later a DNA test proved my son was his. The night I learned I was a ghost in my own home, everything changed. Throwaway because my family lurks. I'm Ethan, 36. My wife is Lena, 35. Our son is Owen, 9. Plot twist up front so you know the stakes. Last month I learned the man who taught Owen to cast a fishing line, my older brother Caleb, 38, is also his biological father. Before you decide I missed 1,000 red flags, here's the setup. 10 years ago, I married Lena after she and Caleb had broken up. It was awkward for one holiday season, then everyone declared it grown up, and moved on. We worked. Mortgage, minivan, small backyard, a beagle named Nacho who thinks doorbells are personal attacks. We weren't flashy, we were content. I wore reliable, like a compliment. The first hairline cracks weren't fireworks. They were quiet, like a door that doesn't close all the way. Owen's pediatrician flagged a blood type mismatch and said calmly, probably a lab error. Lena laughed a little too brightly and changed the patient portal password for privacy. At family dinners, if Caleb sat near us, Lena either went radiant or brittle. No middle. I told myself their history still had dust on it, that's all. Then came the birthday party at my parents' place. Mom pulled out the old albums, the ones that smell like attic and lemon oil. There was a photo I hadn't seen, a candid of Lena and Caleb on the porch the night they ended things. The timestamp hit me like cold water, 10 years back, weeks before Owen's due date. Math starts getting fuzzy. Lena plucked the page, slid it into her bag and smiled with her teeth. Some memories aren't for group chat, she said. Everyone laughed. I didn't. Later, while I loaded the dishwasher, I watched Lena through the kitchen doorway. She was leaning close to Caleb, head tipped, that soft smile people give to something they recognize. When she noticed me, she overcorrected, kissed my cheek, called me my person, and suggested we leave early to get Owen to bed. In the car, she squeezed my knee the way she did when we got engaged. My chest warmed, my gut stayed cold. I wish I could say I trusted the warm part. Instead, that night, I opened a note on my phone and titled it Sanity Check. Dates. Little oddities. Not accusations, just pins on a map I hoped led nowhere. I loved my wife. I adored my brother. I adored my son most of all. But something in the room had shifted, and once you hear a new sound in your own house, you can't pretend it's the wind. Disclosure didn't arrive like thunder. It showed up wearing a school flyer. Owen's 4th grade class launched a Family Heritage Month. Kids were making trees, mapping blood types, even cheek-swabbing strawberries to learn about DNA. We should do a kit. Owen said, eyes bright. I'm a nerd, say chart, and I'm in. I grabbed one of those pharmacy paternity/ancestry combos because it came with stickers and a poster. Lena's smile froze. Those things are gimmicks, she said, wiping a clean counter. Also, they're invasive. It's for the poster, I said, keeping my voice light. We don't even have to mail it. Owen swabbed like a pirate taking an oath. Nacho tried to eat one swab, we laughed. When I held the last cotton tip toward Lena, she flinched like I'd offered fire. I'm getting a cold, she said too fast. It'll mess the results. She kissed me on the temple, peach lip balm and a restless breath, and took Owen to the park. My stomach did slow arithmetic. That night she went affectionate in a way I remembered from our early 20s. Hands warm on my shoulders, that intimate little hum she makes when she tucks under my chin. We weren't explicit. YouTube would call it PG, but it was tender enough to make my ribcage feel newly rented. As we dozed, her phone glowed on the dresser. A banner slipped through Do Not Disturb. See, proud of today. He's so much like, the rest vanished. See. Caleb is C in every family text. I didn't touch the phone. I stared at the ceiling fan until it blurred. 2 days later I found the shoebox. Not snooping, looking for the passport to renew Owen's. Top shelf of Lena's closet, under a folded sweater. A cedar box that smelled like an old piano. Inside, a ticket stub to a seaside motel cafe, a porch Polaroid of 2 silhouettes I did not need faces to recognize, and a bracelet I'd never seen, engraved L+C/always the porch. My hands went cold. The timestamp on the cafe receipt sat 3 weeks before our wedding shower. I reminded myself people keep relics. People are messy. People are also usually not married to the brother of the person whose initial is on their secret bracelet. I put everything back exactly and went for a walk until the neighborhood felt like I hadn't dreamed it up. Owen's teacher emailed the next morning. Reminder, blood type chart due Friday. I opened our patient portal, hoping the original lab error had been corrected. My A+ glowed back at me. Owen's listed O+. A quick search later and the internet gave me the kind of calm that isn't calming. An A+ dad and an AB+ mom. Lena, don't make O+. It's not impossible, it's math that asks for another parent. I bought a second kit, the boring kind that lives in manila envelopes and court cases. I told myself I was protecting my son, not accusing my wife. Owen and I swabbed after Lego time. I left Lena's part blank. The waiting period stretched like taffy, so I filled it, sanity check, grew dates and tiny weather reports. The morning the email landed, my hands shook opening it. Probability of paternity, 0%. No exclamation points. Just letters that rearranged my face. I didn't scream. I fed Nacho, who wagged like the world remained simple. I put Owen's lunchbox note in his bag. You're brave, you're kind, you're mine. And sat at the table until the sunlight moved to a different spot on the floor. I didn't stage a movie scene. I set the kitchen like a project meeting. Napkins with dates, the blood type chart printed from a pediatric site, the lab email open on my laptop, the cedar shoebox, now on my side of the table, and a pen in case truth needed underlining. Nacho parked at my feet like security with a soft tail. Lena came in humming, toad on her shoulder, grocery flowers peeking out. The hum died when she saw the table. What is this? She asked, but her eyes were already looking for exits. I need you to sit, I said gently. We're going to walk through a few things. No yelling. No leaving. She stayed standing. If this is about that gimmick kit, Drew, I told you. It's not a gimmick. I slid the printout forward. It's math. A+ and AB+ don't make O+. She let out a short laugh that wasn't a laugh. WebMD husbands are dangerous. Then there's the lab email. I turned the screen. She read the first line, color draining, then went cold brave. Did you swab our child without asking me? She said, voice clipped with moral outrage she wore like a scarf. I'm his father, I said, and it broke coming out. I thought I was. For a beat we just listened to the fridge. Then she pivoted fast, the way fire takes a corner. Okay, she said, palms up. Okay. I panicked in our first year. You were traveling. Caleb checked on me after my car died. We kissed, once. Stupid. The bracelet is ancient history. I slid the cafe receipt beneath her hand. Date circled. 3 weeks before our shower. She swallowed, eyes glassy. It was closure, she whispered. We talked on the porch. It was raining. It felt big. She reached for my wrist. We didn't, you know. That porch has a name on your bracelet, I said. Always the porch. The anger flickered out, the pleading arrived. She moved around the table and sank to her knees like someone had cut her strings. Fingers wrapped my forearm, face tipped up, tears gathering with impossible precision. Drew, listen to me. I was young and foolish. I chose you. I built a life with you. Owen is yours, maybe not on paper, but in every way that counts. Some part of me wanted to catch her. The larger part remembered a banner. See, he's so much like. Is Caleb his father? I asked. No heat. Just a question sitting in the air like a bell. She squeezed her eyes shut. It's complicated. It's binary, I said. Is it Caleb? Silence lengthened until it had weight. She nodded once. Tiny. Then the explanations poured out like marbles. She and Caleb had a loop they never named. She broke it when we married. She never meant to let timelines overlap. She thought a blood test years ago said A+ for Owen. It didn't. She was protecting the family. She was afraid mom would make it theater. She was waiting for the right time. She was hoping it wasn't true. I slid my arm free. She followed on her knees, palms up. Give me rules, she begged. I'll sign whatever. I'll tell whoever. I'll sleep on the floor. Please don't end us. First, I said, and my voice sounded older, Owen gets the truth in an age-appropriate way from me with a therapist. Second, there will be a legal DNA test. Third, you tell Caleb to come here tonight. Her head snapped up. Panic flared. No. He'll spin. He'll make you the villain. I built villain-proof folders, I said, nudging the shoebox. He can bring his porch stories. I'll bring science. She dropped her forehead to my thigh and whispered, please don't hate me. I don't, I said, and meant it in a way that hurt. But I can't love a lie. I didn't stage drama, I staged daylight. When Nova got home, I'd already set the envelope on the coffee table with the crest facing up, next to 2 mugs of tea and a legal pad titled Facts. Silas was at Leo's, my parents had picked him up for a sleepover, and the house finally had the quiet you need to tell the truth or to hear yourself lie. Nova swept in like nothing was off, lip gloss, soft sweater, the perfume I bought her last Christmas. She kissed my cheek, not my mouth, clocked the envelope and went very still. "What's that?" she asked. "Results," I said. "From the test you said we didn't need." She laughed too brightly. "Ethan, we agreed, trust. You're inventing storms." I slid the paper toward her. She didn't touch it. Her eyes moved like she was reading a teleprompter only she could see. "Open it," I said. She didn't. Instead she drifted to me, knelt gracefully on the rug, already bargaining, palms on my knees. "Please don't do this to us," she whispered. "You're my husband. You're home. Whatever my past was, it's dust." I unfolded the page. Silas. Probability of full sibling to Mateo, 0. Probability of paternal relationship to Liam Hart, exceeds 99%. The room clicked. Nova went through 3 faces in 3 seconds. Shock, anger, calculation. Then she reached higher, hands around my thighs, tears opening on command. "I panicked," she said. "It was a college goodbye, one time, before we were serious again. I was scared you'd leave. I wanted a family with you so badly." "One time before?" I asked gently, sliding my phone across. On the screen, the photo of the equity card, her "Nostalgia is a gravity well," the clinic receipt, a string of "meet at the Overlook" texts. Her voice softened, almost seductive, the way she used to sound across a kitchen island late when the world was only us. "I needed closure," she tried. "We didn't, nothing, just talking." Liam was grieving his own mess. I was foolish. "Then why the burner card?" I asked. "Why the clinic visit the week before Silas was born? Why the stipend?" She flinched, mouth open, eyes glassy. A beat. Then a new script. "Okay, I thought I was pregnant, yours or his. I wanted to be sure before I told you. I paid because I felt guilty. I didn't want you to carry any fallout from my immaturity." "Immaturity 10 years long?" I asked, not unkind. "Nova, I need the whole truth. This is a cut that doesn't heal if we keep picking around it." She folded forward, forehead to my knee, voice breaking in perfect halves. "I was weak. He kept reaching out. He'd say I was the one who got away." I felt sparkly around him and tired around grocery lists. "It wasn't about you. It was never about you, Ethan. You've always been good." It landed like both bomb and blade. Good. Safe. Predictable. The words that used to make me proud and now felt like labels on a box someone was returning. "I want 2 things, I said. "Full written timeline, no poetry. And we tell the families tonight." Her head snapped up. "No," panic bloomed. "My mother will turn it into a crusade. Liam will spin. Your parents will hate me." "They deserve the truth," I said. "So does Silas." She slid closer on her knees, fingers clutching at the denim like she could anchor herself in the fabric. "Please, Ethan. Give me a month. I'll block him. I'll hand you passwords. I'll sleep on the floor. I'll wear shame if it keeps us intact." Tears ran clean paths through her mascara. "We can fix this." My phone buzzed on the table. A text preview from an unknown number. "Heard from Nova? We should talk like adults. LH. As if the earth hadn't already been busy doing that. I hit speaker and set the phone down. "Liam," I said, calm as I could manage. "It's Ethan." Dead air. Then my brother's voice, older than I remembered it and somehow smaller. He said. "Before you unleash, I want to say." "You can say it to our parents," I said. "We're meeting in an hour." Nova's hands loosened on my knees. For the first time all day she sounded unrehearsed. "Please," she whispered. "Don't end us in front of a room." "It began in secret," I said. "It ends in daylight." She bowed her head, still kneeling, and started to pray, not with words but with posture. I lifted the legal pad and wrote the first line under facts. "We tell the truth, together." Then I picked up my keys. We met at my parents' place because that dining table has survived 20 Thanksgiving debates and 1 house fire. It could handle this. Mom, Marisol, took out extra chairs like reflex. Dad, Arthur, set down 4 water glasses with the precision he reserves for measuring twice. Nova arrived first, small and immaculate, clutching tissues and a cardigan like armor. Liam came a minute later, hat in hand as if any brim could shade what needed saying. Silas was at a neighbor's for pizza and video games. Mom had arranged it with quiet efficiency. When we all sat, the clock over the stove ticked loud enough to count the seconds we'd borrowed from denial. "I'll start," I said, sliding the envelope and my neat stack onto a placemat like exhibits. "The lab says Silas isn't my biological son. The paper trail says Liam knew there was doubt. Nova paid a clinic and kept a stipend to someone listed as JK. We believe it's the lab tech who rushed a false reassurance. Here are the receipts. Nova's hand flew to her mouth. A tear leaked on cue, glossy and perfect. I was terrified, she whispered. I wanted Ethan to have his dream of family. I made a terrible decision in fear. Liam leaned forward, elbows on the table, eyes on me instead of the paper. I never meant harm, he began, voice husky. 10 years ago we were two stupid people with a long history. We got coffee to say goodbye before her wedding. It didn't stay goodbye. Once? Dad asked level. More than once, Liam said, not looking at Nova. It fizzled after the wedding. I thought Silas might be mine, then convinced myself he wasn't. That's the truth I've hid from both of you. Mom exhaled like a tire finding a nail. Nova? Her voice was gentle iron. How long did you keep contact? Off and on, Nova said, folding over the cardigan like it could swallow her. Holidays sometimes. Birthdays sometimes. I told myself it was closure maintenance. Unhealthy, yes, but harmless. I told myself Ethan was steady and I was fragile. And the equity card? I asked. Her chin tilted, anger blooming, then flattening into appeal. A loan I never should have taken. Liam was laid off last year. I didn't want Ethan to see my weakness. I intended to pay it back. Mom's gaze slid to Liam. Did you ask her for money? He winced. I hinted. She offered. I took it. That's mine to own. Dad laced his fingers, knuckles pale. And our grandson? Nova crumpled at that word. She went to her knees by my chair, again like gravity was on retainer, palms up toward my parents now. I love Silas, she said, crying without theatrics for the first time. Whatever the paper says, Ethan is his father in every way that counts. I was a coward. Please don't let my fear rip him away from the only dad he's known. The room held its breath. Mom reached for the envelope, read the sentence that had steel-spined my week, set it down as if it were hot. We won't rip, she said. But we will name what is torn. Liam cleared his throat. I will take any test. Any responsibility. I'm not here to take Silas. I'm here to tell the truth I should have told a decade ago. A new voice joined from the doorway, Aunt Cammy, who'd let herself in with a casserole because that's her love language. Then start by saying you're sorry to the right person. She angled her chin at me. And mean it. Liam turned fully, eyes wet and unflinching. I'm sorry. For the disrespect, for the debt, for letting you carry a story I knew might break this way. I chose ease over integrity. You didn't deserve that. Nova's fingers tightened on my sleeve. I am sorry, she said softer. I won't ask you to forgive me today. I will do whatever makes Silas safest, even if that's stepping back while you decide. It was the first sentence that wasn't an argument in costume. Dad slid a legal pad to the center. Here's what we do tonight, he said. No shouting. No lawyers in this room. We write 3 columns. Silas's stability, financial truth, next steps. We keep kindness for the child and clarity for the adults. He looked at me last. You lead. I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake. We wrote under Dad's 3 headers like we were drafting a ceasefire. Under Silas's stability I put, keep school, same bedtime, no talk of real dad, Nana pickup Thursdays, therapy list, play-based covered. Mom added no adult tears in front of him, circled it twice. Nova, voice small, offered to move into her sister's spare room, so the house feels calm. I nodded. Space wasn't punishment, it was oxygen. Financial truth took longer. I laid out the equity line draws with dates. Nova slid over her phone and let me open banking. There it was, payments to JK Consulting, hotel dinners for clients, that lined up with Liam's layoff, a suspicious wellness retreat, the November Silas broke his wrist. Liam scrubbed a hand over his jaw. Some of that's me, he said. Some I don't recognize. Aunt Cammy, who runs payroll like a religion, said gently, we'll recognize it with statements and a pen. Dad penciled a total at the bottom and whistled low. Not rage, math. Next steps. I wrote Miss Patel's name, my comm lawyer, and paternity filing, custody reimbursement plan. Liam surprised me with formal acknowledgement of paternity if test confirms, no disruption to custody, financial responsibility as ordered. For once his words didn't wobble. Nova picked up the pen and wrote, full disclosure, no more gray, then set it down like it burned. We broke for air. In the hallway Nova caught my sleeve. Please, can we talk alone? She led me to my childhood den, sat on the arm of the couch like a guest in her own life. There's something else, she said, eyes on her hands. After the wedding it wasn't just coffee with Liam. There was a clinic email. The first test 10 years ago, it was inconclusive. I panicked. I paid the tech to rush and reassure. I told myself I was protecting you. The admission detonated quiet. I stole your choice, she said, finally looking at me. I know. In the kitchen, voices rose. Liam on the phone. Cass, I'm at Ethan's. No, I'm telling him everything. Cass. He hung up looking seasick. Cass. I asked. Girlfriend, he said. On again, off again. She thought I was clean. She'll likely scorch the earth. Perfect. As if conjured, the doorbell rang. My mom opened it to Lila, Nova's best friend, clutching a tote and a bottle of too expensive olive oil. Peace offering, she chirped until she saw the table. Her face fell. Okay, so the olive oil is defensive. She turned to me. I covered for Nova once, one lunch years back, when she said she was going to tell you and then didn't. I'm sorry. I won't lie again. It landed like a late umbrella in a storm. Useful, not heroic. We reconvened. I said the words I'd been resisting. Temporary separation. Nova moves to her sister's for 90 days. We keep Silas's life steady. I'll file for legal clarity, paternity, finances. No scorched earth, no social posts. Everything goes through council or calendar. Nova's knees hit hardwood, palms up. There she was again, the choreography of regret. I'll do it, she whispered. Please don't tell Silas I'm bad. My chest ached. We'll tell him adults are fixing adult mistakes, I said. Because that's true. Before we left, Mom handed me a folder labeled copies. Facts first, she said. Dad squeezed my shoulder like a level against a stud. Outside, the air felt colder and cleaner. In my pocket, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Cass. We should talk, the text read. About Liam. And about 2015. New year, new skeleton. I met Cass at a quiet tea shop because coffee felt too volatile. She arrived in a navy blazer, hair in a no-nonsense knot, eyes that had calculated their exit routes. I'm not here to fight, she said, sliding a manila envelope across. I'm here to end my portion cleanly. Inside, screenshots, calendar invites, a single hotel receipt with 2 last names, hers and Liam's, dated the same week as Silas's 10th birthday party. My stomach dipped. It wasn't constant, she said, anticipating the blow. But it overlapped. I thought he was single in every way that mattered. Then your Christmas card arrived. She swallowed. 2015? He and Nova were still tangled. You weren't wrong to feel something was off back then. Cass exhaled like she'd been underwater. There's more, she added. Liam told me Nova almost confessed once at a clinic. The tech rushed the result. He said she panicked. I nodded, heard it already from Nova, but hearing it here felt like a notarization. I've ended it, Cass finished, voice steady. HR will get my statement. No theatrics. On the drive home I booked what I'd been avoiding. Paternity lab, Wednesday 9 a.m., court admissible. I emailed Miss Patel, testing scheduled. Adding Cass materials. She replied in minutes, good. Facts not fire. At home, Nova's suitcase sat by the door. She'd left a note in our son's neat handwriting, her script guiding his, Mom is fixing mistakes. Love you to the moon. I sat on the stairs and let that crush me, then stand me up. Silas's school counselor called. My mom had quietly flagged the situation. We can build him a routine map, she said. Predictability is comfort. I said yes to everything. Lorna, my ML, arrived without warning carrying a casserole and a complaint. Separations are for quitters, she declared, wandering through my living room like a quality inspector. When I explained the 90 days, she scoffed. Image matters, Ethan. Think of the holiday photos. My dad, who dropped by to fix the not-broken lamp, simply lifted the folder labeled copies and set it on the counter between us like a boundary. Lorna deflated to a simmer. That night, Nova texted, "Can I come tuck C in?" I said yes and watched her kneel by our son's bed, whispering a soft nothing that straightened his brow. In the hallway she pivoted back to me, chin high, eyes wet. Dinner tomorrow? We can talk, she offered, then when I didn't answer fast enough, dropped into that familiar posture on the runner, knees, palms up. Please, Ethan. I'm telling the truth now. I helped her stand. Good, I said. Tell it to the lab on Wednesday. When the house was finally still, I opened a fresh notebook and wrote a title that didn't hurt, Recovery Plan. First line, protect Silas. Second, protect the house. Third, protect my peace. Then, almost without thinking, I added a fourth, sign up for that darkroom class I keep bookmarking. If I was going to live in the light again, I'd learn to make it. Wednesday arrived like a court date. I took Silas to school early, then drove to the lab with my palms doing that cold sweat thing. Nova met me in the parking lot, hair pulled back, no jewelry, a look I remembered from finals week in college, focused, scared. "Thank you for coming," she said. I nodded because words felt like glass. Chain of custody forms, swabs, sealed envelopes. The tech was gentle in the way people get when the room is already breaking. Nova tried small talk, weather, coffee, the counselor's routine map. I answered politely and we left in different cars. Miss Patel called before I reached home. "Timeline check," she said. HR had scheduled Liam for an interview Friday. Cass's formal statement was in my inbox. They're in black and white. Dates, places, a sentence that made my stomach drop even though I knew it already. He said the boy might be his. Patel's voice softened. "Whatever the lab says will keep your son's world steady. Document. Breathe." The email hit at 3:42 p.m. Subject line dry as toast. Paternity report, court admissible. I opened it standing up. Probability of paternity, 0%. I read it twice then a third time because it's wild how your brain bargains with math. A decade of bedtime stories and scraped knees and science fair volcanoes tilted on their axis and didn't fall. Silas was still Silas. My chest cracked anyway. I called my mom first. She didn't rush to fill silence. "I'm so sorry, honey," she said, the nurse in her switching on. "Drink water. No decisions for 48 hours. Dad said, 'We're on our way,' and hung up, which is his version of 'I love you.'" Nova arrived without knocking, as if gravity had a key. She saw the printout on the table and folded to her knees so fast the chair behind her skittered. Palms up, voice breaking. "Please? He's our boy in every way that counts. I was a coward 10 years ago. Be braver than me." Then the pivot I've come to recognize, her chin lifting, anger sparking. "You're really going to let a lab ruin a family?" Back to pleading, tears, promises, vows to groceries and therapy in church. The oscillation was dizzying. I set a glass of water in front of her and slid over a second document. Patel's draft stipulation for de facto parent status. Joint legal decision-making pending a full custody plan. "Silas's world doesn't shatter because adults failed," I said, voice steadier than I felt. "But we stop lying." Lorna materialized 20 minutes later like she'd been hiding in the hydrangeas. "This is barbaric," she declared, spotting the report. "Boys need stability, not statistics." Dad, already fixing a lamp that wasn't broken, didn't look up. "Stability starts with truth," he said. Lorna huffed and texted loudly. Then Liam called. I put him on speaker. "We need to control the narrative," he said, like we were discussing a product launch. "Let's keep the HR thing separate from personal matters." My mom's eyebrows did a slow, lethal rise. Nova whispered, "Liam, stop," but he plowed on. "I'll step up, I just need time," until I ended the call with 6 words that surprised me with how calm they sounded. "Counsel only. No more side doors." That night I took Silas to mini-golf because the counselor said routine plus ridiculous helps. He whacked every windmill like it owed him money, then slipped his hand into mine walking to the car. "Dad, are you sad?" he asked. "Yeah, but," I said. "But being sad doesn't mean we stop being brave." He thought about that and nodded like I'd given him a new tool. Back home I signed up for the darkroom class and, because my hands needed to make something useful, I messaged a neighbor about joining their Saturday bike group. Revenge was already happening on paper. HR, affidavits, prenup, teeth. What I needed now was air. Before bed, I printed the lab report, slid it into a folder labeled Truth and put another sheet on top, Plan for Silas, with 3 bullets. Same school, same bedtime, same Saturday pancakes. I stood in the quiet kitchen, listening to the house breathe, and realized that even if a line on a page said 0%, my life with my son was still 100% real. The math hurt. The math held. The report didn't answer the question everyone was tiptoeing around. If not me, then who? The room already knew the shape of the answer. We just hadn't put a name on it out loud. I called Theo. He showed up with paint on his forearm and the quiet he saves for bad jobs. Cass came too, jaw set, resolve in flats. I laid the sealed sibling kit on the table, court chain of custody, 2 swabs, too much air. Theo didn't sit. He read the top line of my report, closed his eyes once like a man stepping into cold water and said, "Do it." Nova paced, then pivoted hard into outrage. "This is cruel," she snapped. "Silas is ours. You want to ruin him with lab theater?" 2 beats later she was on her knees beside my chair, palms up, voice trembling. "Please wait. We can be a family without labels." The swing made me seasick. Cass lifted the pen and signed the witness line. "We're not hiding anymore," she said, steady. "If truth breaks the house, it was load-bearing." We swabbed, sealed, signed. Theo's hands didn't shake until it was done. When he looked at me, I recognized our father's eyes, the same color they've always been, holding too much. The lab rushed it under Patel's request. 48 hours later. Probability of paternity, Theo/Silas 99.97%. Numbers so simple they were almost tender. I stared until they blurred, and then the grief came in an orderly way: brother first, boy second, marriage third. We did it properly. Family meeting, daylight, no surprises. My parents sat at the table they bought on layaway in 1989. Mom read both reports, folded her hands, and cried like a nurse who knows crying is sterile and necessary. Dad didn't move for a long time. When he spoke, it was to the room, to history. "I taught you both to measure twice," he said. "You measured once. Now we cut clean." Nova went instantly to the floor, knees, palms, tears on command. "I was 22 and stupid," she sobbed. "Theo was a goodbye. We thought you'd never want me if I told the truth. I was scared. I'm still scared." She crawled the last inches to me, forehead to my knee. "Let me earn it back. I'll sign anything. I'll make a statement to Silas that keeps you tall and me small. I will be holy." Theo stood like a man carrying a beam alone. "I'm sorry," he said to me, eyes not leaving mine. "No story makes this decent." Cass slid her hand into his. "We're here to fix what we can," she said. "Start with the boy." Patel had the next steps ready, because paper is how you stop bleeding. Petition to add Theo as biological father on the record. Companion petition affirming me as de facto parent with joint legal decision-making and a parenting plan built around Silas's actual life. A financial spreadsheet that moved child support out of my column and into the right one. A confidentiality order around the reports so school, friends, and youth baseball didn't become a rumor mill. Lorna barged in midway with a speech about family optics, and pivoted to budgeting for a rebrand. Dad stood finally. "Ma'am," he said, polite as a warning bell, "this is a kitchen, not a stage." HR finished its part that same afternoon. Liam, employment terminated for cause. Serena texted a single sunflower emoji from her personal phone. It felt like a small flag planted on safe ground. A lawyer letter arrived for Nova regarding the blackmail screenshots. Patel forwarded it to the detective with a sticky note. "Extortion, see attached." Quiet revenge still counted. At bedtime I sat on the floor by Silas's beanbag and told a story about 3 builders who made a bridge after a flood. One brought tools, one brought wood, one brought a map. "Who got to cross?" he asked. "All of them," I said. "Because they worked together." He nodded the way kids do when a metaphor lands without revealing itself. Later, alone, I took the darkroom confirmation out of the mailbox and pinned it beside the Saturday bike flyer. I booked a cheap cabin by the coast for a long weekend and wrote 2 lists on the whiteboard. Plan for Silas, pancakes, school catch, and plan for me, darkroom, bikes, ocean. When the house finally settled, the math still hurt. But the math held. Tomorrow we'd sign what needed signing and say what needed saying. Tonight I let the quiet be big enough to stand in. We signed in a small courthouse that smelled like paper and coffee. Patel slid forms across with that calm that steadied me when nothing else did. Theo was added as biological father. I was affirmed as de facto parent with joint legal say and the same weekday nights and every other weekend I've always had. The clerk stamped each page like a heartbeat. Thump, 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 then it was law, not legend. We told Silas together in the language of 10-year-olds. No lab words. No courtroom. Just the 3 of us on the bleachers after practice while the field lights hummed. "You're lucky," I said, hand on his back. "You've got 2 men who love you and will never miss a game." He looked at me first. "You still my dad?" "I always will be," I said. He nodded, then grinned at Theo. "Cool. Extra throws." Nova tried every exit ramp on the way out. In Patel's lobby she went to her knees, palms up, whispering, "1 more month, post-nup, passwords, church, anything." In the parking lot she pivoted to anger. "You like being the victim." Then back to tears so fast the sky felt dizzy. I didn't perform with her. "I wish you well," I said and meant it, and walked to my car with my dignity buckled in. Blackmail didn't vanish in smoke, it collapsed under paperwork. Detective Ramos picked up the thread Patel handed off. Liam's screenshots, bank trail, and silence fees turned into charges that lived in a docket instead of my head. Quiet consequences, no victory laps. Home changed texture. I moved the darkroom into the spare room and let the red glow teach my hands to be patient. The first print I kept was a crooked pier at low tide, grainy and honest. I joined the Saturday bike group. By week 3 I could hold a wheel without staring at it, which felt like progress in more ways than one. On the coast weekend, I stood in wind that tasted like rain and let the ocean answer questions I'd been yelling at drywall. Small life things stacked. Silas and I rebuilt the model plane. It finally flew a crooked loop before nosing into the grass and we howled. Cass taught him how to measure twice on a shelf for his room at my place. He corrected me when I eyeballed it and I loved being corrected. Theo and I found a rhythm that didn't bruise, drop-offs, batting cages, a text thread called Coach and Coach. Dad came by with a level and a bag of screws. Mom labeled freezer meals like a general. Nova's family did what they do. Lorna pivoted to healing content. Victor pitched a backyard pickleball investment. I set my phone to do not disturb for both and discovered peace has a ringtone, silence. A month later the community center hung 3 of my prints in a hallway that nobody rushes through. Silas dragged Theo over, proud. My dads take pictures that don't lie, he told the volunteer like it was news the world needed. I felt something in me set, not hard, true. If you're reading this because your gut is loud and your head is begging it to be polite, here's what I learned the long way. Boring evidence saves your life. Keep it cleaner than your rage. Safe isn't an insult, it's a harbor. Be one, first for yourself, then for any kid who needs it. Revenge that lasts is administrative. Signatures, policies, boundaries. Fireworks fade, filings stick. Love can't fix dishonesty. Boundaries can prevent it from owning your house. Healing looks like chores and small joy. Pancakes, late throws, red light in a quiet room, wind that smells like salt. I married a story and uncovered a ledger. I lost a version of family and kept a son, a brother, and myself. That's enough to build with. Measure twice. Cut clean. Then live. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.